So let me just pass the mic to you and we can get started.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you very much for hosting me. So today, maybe like generally, first of all, I'm joining from Israel. Time now is 11 in the morning. It's really nice, and thank you for inviting me. So today I'm going to speak about a little bit, and it's going to be an open conversation. So feel free to send questions and whatever you want. It's a fireside style chat will be. So I'll be speaking maybe a little bit about the current state of generative AI with focus on music, or maybe even more generally the creator space, which is where I'm at. And we will discuss some hot questions, and then maybe you will hear a little bit about my thoughts and predictions. Although it's in this world of ever changing of research and things that are happening, I must say that I must be very humble and say that my predictions are changing very rapidly. Things that we thought it's going to take a few years, taking much less than that. So maybe I start maybe with a little bit of introduction about myself. So my name is Amit BenDor. Today I'm managing the AI data science department at Artlist, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Artlist in a second, but maybe a little bit about my journey. So I started in the high tech industry quite in a young age, and I started with the QC and integration, more like DevOps of today. Later on, I went to study in the university, and I focused on NLP, which is natural language processing. And then decided to start my own startup. I was very keen on that. So I had a startup called Gooster, which was a platform for hotels to communicate through a chatbot with the guest of the hotel. So some would say this was quite early in the game, and now it's all booming. And afterwards, I opened my own consulting company, and I did all kind of more diverse AI, which was about audio and music. Music is a hobby of mine for many years, and what came afterwards is joining Artlist. On the same time, I have my own podcast, which is called Making Software, which is in Hebrew. It's a big podcast here in Israel, so it's really nice. And Artlist, maybe I'll speak a little bit about Artlist. So Artlist is a platform for creators, which are can be small creators from YouTubers, TikTokers, out there, up to people who making videos for Netflix or like big other big brands. And it allows to get high quality music without the problem of copyrights. It means that when you want to have to upload your own YouTube video, um, it's sometimes if you just put the music that you want to, it's going to be taken down. And Artlist is allowing users to pay a pretty low budget subscription and just use the music whenever they want. And the cool thing here from my side is that I'm working with creators all the time, from small creators to big creators. Um, a lot of people in the field are using Artlist. So it's really, I think, something that's happening in the whole industry, that people are becoming, more and more people are opening their own YouTube channels, the TikTok channels, and we're a big part of that, and that's very cool. Yeah, so that's a little bit about myself, and we can start dive into maybe a little bit of different things that happening in the industry of creators. And yeah, so some of the things that are happening in the industry right now, I'm trying to look at that into visual, audio, and text. So maybe we'll start with something which you can also see. So I will share my screen in a moment. Okay, so I hope you can see it. Yes, awesome. So a few things that are happening today in the industry. So I'll start maybe with audio. So audio, there's a few things that, a few different areas. So there's music, there's something called sound effects, and there's speech. All of those are happening in the industry, a part of the industry. And sound effects is one thing that you always have inside of movies. So whether it's a sound, as you see here, like the sound of the ocean or someone speaking, sometimes when people are recording those videos, the video is not natural. It's not the real sound that was in the scene itself. Sometimes it's to amplify things. Sometimes it's a way to just have things that are not perfect. To add to the scene. So many creators are using sound effects inside their scene. And one of the most interesting works that I saw until recently is this sound effects generation, one paper, where you can type basically what you want in order to hear. And this is called a prompt, which is this text. And this is one big advancement that I think that they created this model that is possible to just write in text what is the sound that you're looking for and to really optimize it to what you want. And let me just put a few examples so you can hear. So as you can hear, this is the sound of the ocean, and you can hear the birds, you can hear the waves, all of that. And that's a big thing for creators today. You need to find the right sound and kind of manipulate it. And that's something very interesting that we will see more and more incorporated into videos. Some more examples from this field is sometimes your needs are more a little bit more specific. For example, you want one sound and then followed by another sound. So this is another one. This is a wooden table, someone tapping on the wooden table and then the water pouring. And another example is racing car, which is passing and disappearing. So all of that was generated. It wasn't something that actually existed, and that's a really good, cool example of something that's happening in the audio field. We'll come back. We'll jump back to others, and we'll come back to the audio field. So that's something very interesting that's happening. Another thing that I see that is happening is, and maybe we can open a little chat about that. So we had all the generation tools up until now, which were mostly text to image with Stable Diffusion or Midjourney or others. So another one step that is going forward today is models that have more control, which means that instead of just be able to just write something, it's possible to give some guideline to the model in order to create something. So for example, to be able to sketch something and then let the generative AI do the rest. So you can see a few examples. This model is called ControlNet, and I think it went out like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I must say that since then, you see so many works coming from that. And I will talk maybe a little bit about that and how this is connected to the future of this field. Another thing that happened really recently, I think maybe a week ago, was Midjourney releasing their version 5. And this version is much more photorealistic. You're able to create things that looks like an actual photo that was taken. Those two photos of celebrities of Elon Musk are actually not taken for real. This was generated by text, and I think this is the way that we're going to see things are going. It seems like generative AI is going to be seamless in a way that will be really hard to say whether things are actually happened or not, to say whether a photo is real or not. If you're looking into details, you will see a little bit of things that doesn't look really real, but it's just a matter of time. And if I'm talking about my predictions, I always thought it's going to take much more time, like a year or two. But it seems like in terms of weeks, we see things are changing, and this way. This is also from Midjourney 5. So this is from the visual world. Another thing that happened maybe a bit before, it seems like history, but let's say a few months back, is Dream Booth, which is your ability to train a model with your photos and create like basic examples of whatever you're trying to write. So those are images of myself, as you can see, and look very realistic, and it's a pretty cool thing that is also happening. And also for products, you can take your own product, have a few pictures, and then create all kind of different variations in the world. Yes. Any questions? I heard something, maybe by mistake, but feel free to stop me and ask questions. Okay, and lastly, from the visual side of things, we have from Runway ML the model called Gen 1, which is a video to video model, which means that you provide a video and it produces a video with some prompt, some text that you given. And basically you can do many different things out of it. First of all is styling the video. Second is to create like a storyboard, which means sometimes when creators start, like video creators, they start their work, they kind of creating something that will kind of visualize how the commercial or this video. Also you can take this storyboard and make it something more advanced. It also allows to take again like a render, like a 3D kind of video, and do that and make it look much more beautiful, and to modify some single objects. So I'll show just a very fast example of that.
Stylization mode. Transfer the style of any image or prompt to every frame of your video. Storyboard mode. Turn mockups into fully stylized and animated renders. Mask mode. Isolate subjects in your video and modify them with simple text prompts. Render mode. Turn untextured renders into realistic outputs by applying an input image or prompt. And customization mode. Unleash the full power of Gen 1 by customizing the model for even higher fidelity results. Gen 1 represents a pivotal step forward in generative AI, one that brings us meaningfully closer to realizing the future of storytelling.
Okay, so this is Gen 1. Since then, last week, there's also Gen 2, which allows more generation, and it's quite amazing. But I must say that Gen 1 was maybe the first work out there that was actually in quality that seems to be going the right way. sorry, there was a few works before that that was more lower quality, and seems like it's going to a good position, but not that useful. And this is like the first useful, and this is in the visual space. And now I want to talk a little bit about music, and then we'll jump into some interesting topics that we have. So in terms of music, there was a work back in 2019 by OpenAI that called Jukebox. And maybe I will say like a general note about music and generative and all of that. So I think one of the fields which is the most, I would say, the hardest one to work with is music. And the reason for that is that music, first of all, in terms of research, it's a little bit of a niche. Usage of like visuals, those are things that are being researched for a long, long time, many years. And music is a bit of a niche. And besides that, music is something which is very complicated. And I'll explain why. So think for yourself, the first time when you hear some music, some song, you don't usually just like it instantly like that. Uh, Even our minds need to process it once again, to hear it one or two or three times until we really like the music. And the reason is that music is, from one hand, is very complex in structure. It has a structure, like we have different bars and different things inside. But it's also very delicate in the small details. Like if you change it just like one small detail, so this chain is quite big. And I think those are the reasons why this research is going a bit slowly, and it's a bit more complicated, I would say. So the first, as I said, the first big change in this industry, like the big work that I saw, was this jukebox, where it was given all kind of different like styles, singing styles, and even the lyrics, and it was creating music based on that. So let me play a few examples. So this is a country song.
Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Let the darkness fade away, and you deep down as feel the same. Let the fire burn. Just as long as I ain't there, I'll be there in your life.
So as you can hear, it's quite amazing. But I can tell you, this is it's not 100% true. If you dig into the other examples, you will see that most of them, out of like 1,000, there's one great song, but the others are not that good. And another issue with the jukebox was that it's very heavy. It takes I think like a few hours just to generate a few seconds of music, and many times the music is not that great. So but I think this was maybe one of like the very exciting works back then when just started. So when looking up to today, there was not that many works of music until now. And just recently, there was one work from Google, which called Music LM. It's based on another word called Audio LM. The technical things out of that, but they build step over step, like audio, like music generation a framework. And I must say that generally it has like more good results, not 1 out of 1,000. They didn't release the code, but at least from what you can hear out there, it's pretty good. And this is, I would say, one of the hottest things in the industry. So let me show you an example. This is, again, it's text to music. And let's hear this one, which is like a soundtrack of an arcade game. And there's a guitar. Let's hear this one. Yeah, so this music definitely, I would say, makes sense and sounds good. There's no lyrics here. They took it a bit slower. There's another work that they did a little bit work with lyrics, but it's quite good. Let's do another example. This one is a reggaeton and electronic dance music. So it's quite a high quality, and it allows the user of this algorithm to do whatever he wants in terms of text and to create the music. So pretty exciting. There's a few more interesting examples over here of how they took humming or other things and made it sounds even better. So very promising work from Google that they have. And as I said, like generally, you don't see every week something coming out of the music generative AI. So that's quite exciting work that we see that was released recently. Yeah, so after looking at some examples, I want to share with you maybe a little bit of the questions, and we can have some discussions about them. And I will share my thoughts about things. And maybe I will start maybe with some interesting insight, which is if we look at where generative AI started, I think that everybody thought that AI is going to become very like a big part of more like the simplest things, such as taking small cases such as customer care or things that are simple in nature and replace those. And the most interesting things that the big boom that we see today is coming from the creator space. And the idea behind that is that when creating, um, eh, um, you need to have something which is very flexible. It's okay to make mistakes. When you make mistakes on customer care or some other industries with problems that are even simpler, it's not okay to have something that is not working well. But creators or artists, they do they are okay with having something which is not perfect, but you can work with, and you can try over and over again, and then do to get the results that they want. So actually, we can say that the whole generative industry really boomed in the creative space. So that's something interesting. So related to that, there's the questions: are all creators, musicians, video creators, etc., are going to be taken the jobs by AI? So that's a big question that everybody are talking about today. And I want to give you my prediction on that. So first of all, maybe I would say it's not black and white. Okay, some people sometimes say, no, there's no chance. It's just a trend. It's going to go away. But some people say, on the other hand, yeah, that's like you're going to lose your job in a year or two. And I want to say it's not white or black. It's somewhere around gray. And let me share with you a few examples and that we can think about together about things that happened before with the technology in the past. So for example, when ATM, where you can get money out of the bank, came out, people thought, okay, physical banks are going to be closed. And actually, in reality, it made more banks to be a physical. People would go to the ATM to the simple things, but then they will go. It will be easier to interact with the bank, and together with those ATM came a lot of different physical banks. So that's something interesting. On the other hand, we can see that painters used to be the one that when people came, they want to have something that will remind them the history of the family, they would go for a painter. And then cameras came and changed the whole industry. But painters are not gone. They're still here, but they're more doing the artistic side of things. And if you take another example, when people used to ride horses, and today when the cars came, the vehicles came, so basically people almost stopped to ride horses. So what am I trying to say? I think that the future in terms of AI, it's not going to be just like, as I said, black or white. As I see it today, it seems like we love to consume things that have a story behind them, that have a person behind them. I think that AI, generative AI, with music or with other creative tools, it's going to be more of a tool for creators, and less of something that people are going to just use, and that's it. Because think about it. Let's say you have a company and you want some music for the video, for example, in the back. Sometimes if it's a small company, you're on a budget, so you'd like something which is, yeah, it's okay if I write a few things and just use whatever there is out there. But many times we want the story behind of this creator. We want to have something which is a bit more humane, and I think that this will push maybe the creators to be able to create, the musicians to create much more easily, than to and use it as a tool, than to the business owner itself to create the music. So this is at least my point of view on will AI take our jobs or not. So that's one question. By the way, do you have any questions, anyone? Or
Yeah, and welcome anyone to ask any question here. But I think it's a good insight that everyone want the story behind the thing, the music. Yeah, just like when you play the country music, really like the country music I listen to when I study in Texas. Uh, but sometimes, like when I listen to that music, it's actually, oh, what is the author? What is the story behind it? Yeah. So for now, any audience want to ask questions
Yeah,
before the next?
I just wanted to ask. There has been some controversy regarding like visual artists. They are actually very. I mean, they feel that the copyright is infringing, and also they're losing their creative work that they took years to build. What is your comment on that?
okay, so that's a really good point. In our company, we're looking at very often. So first of all, yeah, there was in the visual space, people from mainly from a platform called ArtStation. They used to be guys who put their creative work out there, and it was basically just scraped and used. I think that from what I see, we're in a problem because It's we can say that we went ahead and already trained those models, and people are using it. And I don't think this is reversible in a way. But from the other case, we have to give creators the ability to maybe say that they don't want to use their work, and that makes sense as well, right? So there is an ability today on these platforms and in many platforms to say, no, I want to opt out. But I think this is not the future of how things will look like. To be fair, I think that the model that is going to be is very similar to the model that we have today in Artlist, which is royalties. That once you put your creations inside, you should get some of the money from those creations that are being created based on what was trained on yours. So I think what we will see, those companies allowing creators to be paid royalties. I think this is one. And even more extreme, more than that, we're in a circle that is going to be, that might be very dangerous, because if we start to consume things that are already in the internet, and people are creating things from this model, and creators won't have any initiative to go out there and create new things, we're going to be stuck in a circle, basically. So for that, I think that those companies such as OpenAI and others are going to hire and pay creators to create things in order to train their models and make them even better. So if I said if it's black or white with taking the jobs of creators, I do see a future for creators in this sense, because copyright is a thing, and nobody is going to just leave it the same way as it is today.